Alright, so this is going to be What If Deku Was a Shield Hero Part 1. So with that being said, let's just roll the intro.
They took it to 10. Let me tell you how I come through with the 1-2, kicking shit like kung fu. Treat a bad bitch like she average. I'm a savage, no hoe, what you want do? I'm about cash if the raw fast. I'ma get that little nigga by any means.
Alright, so before we get started, I would like to say that I had this idea for a while. Around the time when I first started doing these What If videos, I had this idea because I have always seen this in the comments of other What If videos, and one day I decided to look this up, and someone already did it at the time, so I never really got around to this What If until now. I think that enough time has passed for me to also do my own version of this. The original person that I've seen that has done this What If was a person called DK Boss, and I guess this is a quick shout out to him. I really enjoy his videos. He only has like around 250, I think. So you guys can go subscribe to him. I think his What Ifs are really good, and if you want to see a different version of this What If, you could go check out his channel. So yeah. So with my my kind of idea with this, doing the same kind of What Ifs as other people, I think for me personally, I feel like I should wait a little bit. So I'm not going to do like What If videos that are the same as someone else's right after they did their own. So if you guys tell me to do, if you see other What If YouTubers like do videos and you want me to do the same kind of topic, I'll do it, but probably after a while, after they done a certain number of parts, or they stop doing that series, because I want those people who had those original ideas to kind of get their exposure first and get their views and their subscribers and all that before I do my version, because I just wouldn't feel right doing that. It feels almost I don't know, it just feels like view chasing, I guess, in a sense. But I don't really care if other people do it. It's just my personal opinion, so I don't really care if other people do it. Especially a lot of times when people do it, they do their own version, so it doesn't really matter too much to me. So with that kind of little rant aside, oh yeah, I would also like to show you guys this drawing that I did back in high school. It was of the Shield Heroes poster. It's a little bit bigger than 2 feet by, I think it was like 20 by 16 or something like that. I don't remember the exact dimensions, but it's a little bit more than 2 feet. So yeah. So let's actually get into the What If. So for this What If, I'm gonna say that Deku was born with the shield, right, attached to his arm. So right away, the doctors knew what quirk he had, which was just a shield. I don't know what quirk name I could give it. You could just be, a lot of times the quirk names in My Hero are pretty straightforward, so I'll probably just call this quirk just shield, right? So he grows up kind of a little bit different than he does in the anime, because he has a quirk from the beginning instead of waiting to find out what it is. So I think at first kids would really like Deku because he would have a quirk before anyone else, before most of the other kids. Some kids would still have theirs at birth since they're like mutation. So I guess this would be classified as a mutation quirk, I guess. It's still the same way as it is in the show of Shield Hero, where if he takes it off and throws it, then it will just reappear on his arm again. Wait, quick side note. If you guys want to know my opinion on the show itself, you could go check out my video or the playlist, my thoughts on, and then it'll be my playlist section, or you could go to the video directly, my thoughts on Shield Hero, and you could see I go through the entire storyline of the anime and what was wrong with it and what I would have wanted to see instead and things like that, right? And I do go some stuff in the manga to support my arguments. So if you really want to check that out, you could go and watch that. So back to the what if. Deku as a child, I think he would experiment with his shield a lot, right? Because it's just something that's always been attached to him. So he'd be able to detach it for a bit, but eventually it'd come back. So I think as a kid, I think he would like drop things into the little like gem that's in the middle of the shield, and doing this he would find out that it actually changes the shield in some ways. So you guys can comment down below some ideas of what type of shields you guys want. But yeah, so he would drop like some things that you would find in the playground, things like leaves and things like that, right? And he would actually get the leaf shield, which I believe it helps you with like picking herbs and stuff like that, and helps you with medicine creation, I think. But after a while, after Bakugo and other kids start unlocking their quirks, they start to see Midoriya as really weak and having a useless quirk. He still gets bullied, but not to the extent of how it is in the actual show, since he does have a quirk. And this kind of motivates Midoriya or Deku to actually train a bit more, as to kind of keep up with the other students. So I think he would find different ways to kind of upgrade his shields in different ways. One way he figured out was he just dropped some rope into his shield, and he gets the rope shield, and he gets a side effect with it, which is the airstrike shield, which basically puts like a shield out in front that he could have in different angles and different things like that, right? So he just puts like a projection shield, I mean. So yeah, he'd be able to do things like that. And I think he'd be able to do, or he would put pieces of like books into his shield, and this would give him a book shield that you see in the series. So this would be his like default kind of look, just so he doesn't have to carry that like shield, right? And I think he would get really good at making medicine through herbs and things like that. And his shield, since he has that book shield, it actually helps with how quickly the medicine takes effect and how potent it is. It's a lot better than normal medicine. So I'm gonna keep his his powers as a quirk and not really magic. Unless you guys really want to change that to magic, then I can. So comment down below if you want this to stay a quirk or you want it to be more magic based. So we cut back to the last day of school, and this is when the teacher says that there are 2 students applying for UA, and that's Bakugo and then Midoriya. Deku in this what if still idolizes All Might, since he still views him as the symbol of peace, and his quirk isn't that strong right now. So we get later onto the day where Deku, or before that, when Bakugo hears this news, I don't think he'd be mad. He would just kind of be concerned for Deku, right? He would tell him like, hey man, do you think this is a really good idea? I mean, your quirk isn't really that strong. It's more for, or like, he's like, if you want to be a hero, I don't think you should be like a combat hero. I think you should be more of a rescue type hero, since you're quirk is more of a defense than anything, right? Kind of trying to tell him to be more of a sideline kind of hero instead of like a frontline hero like All Might. You know what I mean? So Deku in this one, he would basically tell Bakugo, I think I could handle myself. And this kind of ends the conversation, right? So later on in the day, Deku actually goes a different route than normally, so he goes to the shortcut, and this is when he's attacked by the sludge villain. So in this one, I think that Deku would be able to get out of the sludge, but not really defeat him. And the reason why I say this is because he has the rope shield, and I think he'd be able to grapple onto something, which the shield's able to do. And after he'd be free, he could use his airstrike shields to kind of block the sludge monster from getting him. And then this would be when All Might would come, and this, the sludge villain would be defeated that way. And I think this is when Deku would fanboy over All Might after he would defeat the villain, and he would ask for an autograph. I think in this one, All Might wouldn't really ask too many questions. He would have to leave because of his time limit, but I think Deku would still grab onto his leg because he isn't really sure whether or not he could be a hero, since he doesn't see his quirk or magic. If you guys want it to be magic, then go tell me down below, like I said before. He doesn't know if it's that strong enough to be a hero like All Might. So he would grab on his leg, and this would cause the sludge monster to still fall. And when he gets to the rooftop with All Might, he would ask All Might, do you think I could still be a hero even with this shield quirk of mine? And this is when All Might would shrink, or become Small Might, and Deku would be like, oh my god, are you some sort of imposter? And All Might would be like, no, I'm not any imposter, I am the real All Might. And he would explain his backstory about how he was injured, and this caused him to have a time limit. So All Might would just get back to the question and be like, alright, you have a quirk and it's used to defend people. Of course you could be a hero. Alright? And then this is when they hear explosions in the background. And Deku would be happy because, or he would have a mixed feeling right now, because he's happy that All Might said he could be a hero, but he also caused the villain to escape. So they get to that kind of crowded area where the sludge villain's at. So Deku would see Bakugo getting attacked by the sludge villain. So what he does is what he does in the anime, which is to his body moves on his own to try to protect Kachan, or what's it called? Bakugo, right? So I think Deku would use a shield prison to kind of, or he would use the rope shield to kind of pull him out, and then he would use shield prison on the sludge monster. And the reason why is that I think it'd be easy to get that shield because it's a side effect off of the pipe shield, I believe. So he'd be able to get some pipes pretty easily because those aren't like fantasy things, right? So I think he'd be able to have that kind of shield. So the shield prison would start shaking because it's not, Deku at this point isn't strong enough to contain the villain. So this is when All Might comes through and uses a Detroit Smash to stop the villain. So I think I'll end it here, and you guys tell me if you want Deku to have All for One, or I guess we could give him All for One, and then in the comments tell me if you want his powers to stay as a quirk or be magic. So you guys can tell me down below. And with that being said, this is going to be the end of the video. So yeah,